Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you'd like to see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Motorsport Manager, episode number 12. Continue on with series for now. If we get to the end of the season and we are relegated, I've already made the decision that instead of going down to F2 and rebuilding, and I've already been through that. I mean, the original series, we went all the way from the bottom to the top with a custom team like this. But they've got us at such a deficit here. Now, if there's no relegation, then I will happily continue to build this team from many seconds behind the back of the field to eventually a competitive team, and I'd love to see that happen. But if we are relegated, then I will restart with a new team, not a custom team. In this case, it would end up being Manor. So I would take the other bottom team that just happens to be a little bit off the back instead of massively off the back as we are. But it is round 11. We still have 6 rounds to go here. So we'll keep fighting for now and hopefully not see a relegation happen. There are still 3 other teams, Williams, Manor, and Alpine, that have all gone without scoring any points this season. But the count back on results, you can see that we are still 23rd and 24th, regardless. So it's going to take something special to get out of where we're at right now. You can see that Van Dorn and Alonso are the lower end in terms of placement for Manor and for Alpine. So, and then Russell ahead of them. So that's kind of the trio. These guys, those 3 teams, all at 0 points, but count back position wise, they're up here, and right now Deegan is down here. So it's going to take beating out one of those riders by getting a decent finish, and really the only way that that's going to happen is with a whole lot of luck because of how far off the pace we still are, even though we've closed that gap by a good second and a half. And we do have a couple things coming up here, and let's see if I already fixed this. Yes. Okay, so we have a new part coming onto the car here. It's an engine. And we're starting to kind of run out of options here. Everything's still a distant 12th compared to everybody else. I mean, you can see the average way up here. And we're just not really getting any closer overall, or just barely anyway. That gives us another engine. Let's start by looking at that one. The engine that we just produced. The first time we've gone for one that does have risk. So we are opting for one that has some risk involved. At this point when you're this far off the back, it's almost you got to do whatever you can do. And we've put a new front wing on. Or we've produced a new front wing that's also got some risk. So you can see we are starting to step out of our normal realm and get whatever we can get. That's the best that we can get, either to improve next year's car by having the best part, or taking some risk, putting it onto this year's car and kind of going from there. Reliability, sure, yes, we want to see that improve, but ultimately kind of looking at, here, maybe we'll come down a couple notches and add like these guys to the mix and get those improved. Thinking mostly about next season now, hoping that we're still there. Alright, so our helipad is done. From that, 5-star sponsors are unlocked. It's a very small cost to us per race, and it gives us that opportunity to get 5-star sponsors, which is certainly helpful. We still have a good amount of money we could spend on scouting. We could certainly get the next level of design and factory going, except that would take all of the budget we have, so it's not something I'm wanting to do right now. We've already got telemetry, staff, test track, tour center, all under construction. Forecasting could certainly be useful for race strategy, but I think we could throw in one more for now. What do we have? Rear wing, suspension, brakes, or front wing? The suspension's on the cheaper end. Let's go ahead and spend on that, huh? Just afraid of spending, too much. Now, back on the car. Not sure what else we could do. Let me see where we're at on. We have 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3, which means we've already done everything we can do on the cars, unless we're just going in direction of risk, where we might be able to squeak out some more. Like more than a 392 on the brakes. We'll see. Can we do more than 392 on brakes? Like here. Here and here. Oh yeah, that's well above 392. For a cost of 700,000. Now the risk is too great to put this one on the car, but this will set us up for next season, if there's still a next season. Okay. Another new upgrade, and let's see, where was it? Staff Center. That's what it was, wasn't it? Staff Center level 1. I believe is what we just finished up. And that'll help our staff get better. And driver fitness as well. Driver focus. Just before we head into the race, we have a new scouting report ready. Alexander Rossi. Not a bad driver. This is better than what we have. Nearly a 4-star guy, but only 45% on marketability and a negative attribute modifier, but nothing positive there. So no, this would not be somebody I'd want to go for. I do have a few scouting slots open now, so let's take a look and see what we can get out there. With that first level of scouting upgraded, you can see it actually opened up a lot. So that new scouting center has revealed a lot of information about a lot of different drivers. Celis, not bad. Reserve driver for Racing Point. Let's go ahead and scout them. Lauderer is pretty good, but he's 37. Davidson's 40, otherwise same thing. Felix Costa also, but Felix Costa is actually only 28. Take a look. Not bad, but there is potential for lower end here for Agrin. She doesn't have a host team though, so I suppose push for a bunch of A's. Wow, Ricardo is clearly a step above everybody else on our list now. Lando Norris, dang, Norris, I'm surprised. And a pay driver. Okay, so a failed academy tryout lowers the marketability right now, but that could be recovered. $1 million per race. Funny, I saw the video of Lando Norris on F1. But there's definite bonuses that are not permanent here at all. And that's going to go away. So, difficult to say. There's a lot of bonuses, both sides, that are not permanent. And we're going to see him drop down a bit. Anyway, still looking, and I'll continue to look. Hey, Verline. Wow, nice. Like the mechanic relationship. Bonus. Marketability is not bad, but it's not that good. I could certainly use a stronger number one driver and then keep one of the two I have now as a number two driver. And they're both essentially signed on as that. It would depend on that cost per race. But having, like a pay driver for Lando Norris and looking at what he's actually earning, the team would make money every race off of the driver instead of spend money. And that is certainly up the alley of what I want. But he's about to have that drop. And let's start him. We'll come back and take a look now. A little bit later. But I'm certainly willing to make a move still. Sainz, Leclerc, still options. A lot of these drivers are a little bit too old. Mitch Evans has some quality. Easy on fuel. But that focused on training, boosting everything here isn't going to last. The marketability below 50. Rosenquist, good marketability, but bad on quite a few things here. Alright, well, more to see, more to do later on. We've got a race to get to. We're heading to Singapore. Feeling with the tire wear, it could push us into some extra stops possibly at some point, so we'll keep an open mind on that one, see where we're at. Now, engine, not going to mess with that right now with it on 59% and on the risk factor. This one, a little bit closer to being worthwhile. Especially for the second car, as you're looking at 68 versus 66 on the reliability. So, no change. Which is not looking good for our race at all, without any new parts to upgrade the car further. Meaning we'll still be a good lap off the pace of the back markers. Okay. Oh gosh, I did not see how many laps this race was going to be. Doesn't help much, does it? It's information you need. That's a lot of laps, though. That is a lot of laps. So I'm thinking the super softs are probably... Wow, the ultras actually are good for quite a while themselves, and I would imagine they're going to be pretty dang quick. But if we're only doing, 17, 18 at a time and then having to stop again, how much time do you lose for that versus how much time do you gain? I want to see how fast they are. So we're going to put one on ultras, we're going to put one on supers, and we'll see what the difference in time is. And if there's a major difference between time, then we will go for the ultras. Let's push for some downforce here, huh? Okay, race trim is good. Definitely want the race trim. Nice. Okay, well they saved me a little bit of time here. So we're going to have to go out and run a lap to see how fast these tires are. Now Deegan's on the ultras and you can see she's pulling away. They both headed out at the same time. Definitely opening up a bit of a gap there. Still well off the back, but only 2.5 seconds down from Van Dorn. There was a half-second difference between the two setups, but of course Deegan should be faster than Krone already as it is. Ooh, nice, okay. Well, Deegan is close. 92% on the setup already. Just the speed balance, and it's going to be obvious which direction to go there. Half second a lap. Over 18 laps. Gaining 9 seconds. I think you're going to lose more than that with a pit stop, though. You're going to lose a lot more than 9 seconds with a pit stop, even with only a couple seconds. I mean, you're still going to have a pit delta of, 15, 20 seconds. So let's go with super softs. And plus, not counting in that half second is the difference in the car levels. Deegan's car is faster than Krone's already. And if we reversed these two, I think their time would actually be pretty similar. Meaning there's not much of an advantage. Okay, speed balance is great. Now the big question is, did I go too far or not far enough? We're at 97%. She could make a long run because we could figure that out later. It'll be pretty obvious. Meanwhile, we've got the one part we haven't figured out on Deegan. We've got that figured out here, but not up here. We did go... Oh, no. That was good to good. Alright, Deegan, we're going to let go for a while. Crone, we are not. Alright, we did go the right direction. We're up to great 98%. Alright, we're going to leave them both out there for a while. Got some bonuses to grab here. Race trim 2. Super soft 2. Bring in Deegan first. Oh shoot, they're both. We should bring them both in. Bring them both in. Ooh, hello, hello. We went the wrong way with Deegan. Down to 95%. I thought I went to the right. I went to the left. Okay. So back towards top speed. Qualifying trim. And we're going to leave her on the super softs to go get the last bonus. 99. Nice, I'll take it. Okay, so qualified trim. And put you on the ultras, see if we can't get the first bonus. Deegan, meanwhile, though, we need to get the bonus first. Four and a half minutes. We did make it, right? Yes. Level 3, so 3 laps. Ultras. Now just pure cruising pace. You can see we're still 3 seconds, over 3 seconds off the back. We did hit level 1 bonus for each, so that's good. Not gonna get to level 2, but at least we've got both cars set up real well. Actually didn't get that down all the way, did we? 98, huh? Oh, that's too much. Change the tire pressure just a hair. Oh, it should have been to the right. Not the left. There you go. Alright, well, as is normal, it's weird to simulate qualifying, but when you're just that slow, you're that slow! What's the point? There's zero chance of qualifying above these guys without the assistance of rain. Let's see, we're 3.3 seconds off the pace of the whole back end of the field. Vettel was fastest in Q1. Remember, the Ferrari is pretty OP in this mod. And Vettel in particular, or at least Leclerc is nerfed a bit. Again, Vettel fastest. Hamilton goes quickest initially until Vettel comes out. 0.3 quicker for him. Heading out for their second lap. Vettel again going purple. He betters his time. Opens the gap slightly further. Almost 0.4 better. It'll be Vettel on pole with Hamilton beside him on row 1 with Bottas and Verstappen in row 2. Leclerc and Gasly in row 3. And Ricciardo, as always, best of the rest. A decent Renault and a very, very highly rated driver in this mod. Gives him a definite advantage above the rest of the midfield. I wonder if Ricciardo is the driver I need to be going after for our team, if it makes some sort of financial sense. If he's got high marketability, he can bring in some money and justify a high wage bill, but what can we do to sign him? Alright, well, we're going to take that 30% bonus. It's a 67 lap race. Means we can just about squeak out a one-stopper on Super Softs. I think only just. Looks like Krone's going to be a little bit better on the tires, and she could definitely make it work. She can push those tires a bit further than Deegan. Alright, we're going to get into the race. Here we go. Vettel on pole, Hamilton second. I think also if I do end up having to redo 5 red lights, I think without the custom team, I think those pictures will end up lining up correctly with the right face to the right drivers. Neither driver can make a move off the line, even though they both had a decent start. And so we remain in the back of the field, and for now anyway, we're close. For now. I'm sure once the field stretches out a little bit, it's going to get a lot harder to keep these gaps. And you can see already we hit the straight here, and field begins to pull away a little bit. Now Vettel, slow off the line, drops to P3. Hamilton and Bottas go 1-2. Perez is up to P4, Ricciardo P5, Leclerc had dropped to 7th, he's back up to 6th, and Gasly all the way down to P10 right off the bat. Now that the gap is opening here at the end of lap number 1, beginning of lap 2, you can see they're still not too far away, but our time is done at the front. Let's go to the front of the field and see what's going on there. We'll also go at times 4 speed as well. It's going to be another slog at the back, and I need to take care of this. Take care of this, please. Thank you. So Hamilton opening up to a 2-second lead over Valtteri Bottas. It is Vettel who is close behind, so that's the better battle right now. Verne takes a drive-through penalty for causing a collision. Kvyat has a problem and has to fix it. So for the moment, we are up a position. And Bottas still close in battle, falling further behind, over 3 seconds down to the race leader now. We also have Stroll and Verne under investigation. They collide with each other and Kimi Räikkönen. So we're looking good on that at the moment, as we've got ourselves a little battle. Stroll comes out right in between and immediately gets around. And then Jean-Eric Verne comes out just behind. He's already gotten past Krohn. They are battling back and forth for position. There's another Stroll pitting. Stroll is pitting now. And they still have a problem. They did not fix that problem. So Verne did not fix whatever problem they had from that. It's given us a little bit of a chance in this race that they could be fighting to the back. But no cars out of the race so far, and that's a bad sign for me. I would need to have a couple cars already out if we're going to get something going for a change. Now we need to slow these puppies down if we are going to keep these tires in the happy zone, and we very much need to if we're going to make this work as a one-stopper. Kvyat still well off the back. Stroll and Kvyat technically already pitted. The others had drive-through penalties, therefore they're still not classified. Hamilton 5.5 seconds clear of Bottas. Bottas now opening up a little bit of a gap to Vettel, so Vettel is 8 seconds down. Perez remains in P4 and dropping off quite quickly. Makes sense for the midfield, but Ricciardo not best of the rest right now. And Leclerc has now closed up to Ricciardo a bit after their slow start. You can see his form is a whopping 1.0. He is sandwiching the... Oh, Kvyat's gotten around Krohn. Leclerc is in the middle of a Renault sandwich. Verstappen and Gasly in 8th and 9th. And here you go, Deegan hanging on to a position above last for now. Kvyat really trying to come after, and there you go. It's gone. Position gone, so we are down to the bottom of the order. Oh no! Deegan was hit by Kvyat as Kvyat went by. Did you see that message? No damage though. No damage, but Kvyat hit us as he passed. Okay, go back to neutral. And back to neutral. We are already 80 seconds down on the race lead. That is 8 seconds a lap that we are losing to the leader, to Hamilton. And speaking of, there is Hamilton already lapping us on just lap number 12. That is terrible. That is terrible. The gap between my two drivers is 5.5 seconds. So it's not a massive gap, but you can definitely see the better parts working their magic for Deegan. Here comes Bottas finally. Quite a difference. Pierre Gasly, a drive-through, and it's Lando Norris that he hit. Gasly also added to that problem, has a flat, a puncture that he's having to replace, and Gasly's down to P18. You can see all those cars on the Ultras are going to have to pit here very soon. Especially the used Ultras. Those front starters, that's going to give us a chance to get back onto the lead lap. But this is not a good track for us in terms of how short it is and how quickly we are getting ourselves lapped. Raikkonen has retired from the race. Mechanical issue. Blown engine. Kimi Raikkonen is out of the race. There's one position we'll get as they pull into the garage. Still haven't got past him yet. There you go. Deegan goes past into 22nd position. Krone up into 23rd. And here come the pits. Max Verstappen, the first of the front runners to stop, comes out still in 8th place. Hulkenberg has stopped. Comes out ahead of Verstappen still. 1 second between the pair. You see a lot of pit stops here soon, at least all of those on the Ultras. Russell has a problem with his mediums, and he's having to stop much earlier than expected. And that's going to bring him out in 18th. Hangs on to 18th. Stroll, Verne, and Kvyat all behind him, but of course they all had problems, and you see how close they are, how stacked up they are. Bottas into the race lead as Lewis Hamilton has put on the super softs. Bottas staying out a little bit longer. He's down to 19% on the tire wear, but from the engine mode, I'm assuming that he's pushing for an in-lap. See if he comes in this time. Yes, he is going to come in this time. Around he goes and into pit lane. And it's quick stop. And he's going to come out in 2nd place, 10 seconds down to Lewis Hamilton. This is how far ahead Hamilton is now. So that gap is growing. And Bottas comes out on the ultra soft. So he's going to try to close that gap down. Right away, he's pulled back a second immediately. Look at that push by Bottas. Leclerc pitting. Leclerc's pit is done. He just came off pit road and comes out on the Ultras in P5. The form still very, very low. Still behind Perez. But he's made his way ahead of Ricciardo. And Ricciardo has actually dropped 2 positions down to P7. So not sure what happened. It looks like Hulkenberg made the undercut work. As Hulkenberg's tires are a bit more used, so Hulkenberg pit sooner, got a bit faster on the fresh tires, and Ricciardo, pitting later, comes out all the way down in P7 with Verstappen right on him, close behind now. Of course, it was Hulkenberg he was close behind a little bit ago, so we're only talking about 4 or 5 seconds, but sometimes that's all it takes, unless you're us and you're losing that every single lap of the race. We're already 24 laps into this at least. That's a good thing. But the downside here is we're already down, 35 seconds to Jean-Eric Verne. I mean, that's not the worst gap ever, right? Stopped once, had a problem. Somebody else has a problem. Maybe, just maybe we could finish ahead of somebody, but it's not looking good. Not looking good. We just continue to be a slow car. But let's get the rundown here. It's Lewis Hamilton in the race lead. Bottas on the Ultras trying to close him down, but he's only picked up just over 2 seconds. And his tires are now just as worn, and actually a little bit more worn than Hamilton on the Supersofts, who pit a bit sooner than Bottas, at least a few laps sooner. It's Vettel in P3, 3 seconds behind, and again on Supersofts, but you got to figure Bottas is going to be pitting quite a bit earlier than Vettel, so this could benefit Vettel later on in this race. Perez, a fantastic job in P4, but well down, half a minute behind Vettel, so the top 3 are running away with this one at this point. Leclerc has finally caught Perez. Has not passed him though, and Leclerc also on the ultra soft is going to be a bit off on the pit strategy. Hulkenberg a bit further behind, 5-6 seconds down to Leclerc, but still very much in this race, especially considering the tire situation. But Hulkenberg who made the undercut work, well, their tires are a bit more worn than those around them. So how will this affect Hulkenberg later on? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Krone tires are hanging on well, 37%. Deegan getting a little bit worried. We're just now starting lap number 30. There's 38 laps remaining. Of course, we will get lapped again here at some point. So realistically, well, what lap are we on? I'm sure we're not even on lap 30 ourselves. But making this one stopper work is going to be tricky for Deegan because I could fall off the cliff here pretty soon. I need to get, what, 33 laps? Yeah, 33 of 34. So a couple more laps for Deegan. Couple more laps. Okay, so Ricciardo is 2.5 seconds down of Hulkenberg now in defending for his life from Max Verstappen just behind. After that bad start by Verstappen, Alexander Albon all the way up into the points in 9th place for Toro Rosso, but he has yet to pit and will be pitting relatively soon. Sainz, last points paying position right now in P10. It is lap 33 now. Let me slow this down for a moment. Let me see where we're at. Deegan, it's 33. Where are you on the track? You've got a ways to go to get around. Let's make this lap. Let's make this lap. You're gonna come in. Actually did a pretty good job to get right about what you needed to get. So let's go ahead and push this lap. Push, push, push. You're definitely off the pace, but not horribly off the pace, actually. Deegan into the pits. It's a good one. 2.044 seconds. That is a very good stop. And she's back out onto the track with no time lost. Now Krone is to that point where I think we could also make a stop here in just a moment. Doesn't have the issues with the tire wear as bad. This will allow us to push a little bit harder at the end, but let's go ahead and get you in as well. Krone is actually still behind Deegan, even though she has not stopped yet. So that is the nature of the gap between these two. But go ahead and attack. Make a good in-lap here. Get ready to come in now. And that was, what, 2.14 seconds. Also a good stop. 10th slower. But both cars, good stop. It does pay to have a good pit crew. And it really doesn't cost much, or at least not in this mod, to have a good pit crew. So there's no excuse to not have a really good pit crew. Okay, so where were we? Well, we left off with Carlos Sainz running in P10, and that is still the case. Lando Norris, teammate behind in P11 for McLaren. Lando Norris will be pitting here quite soon, and actually a lot of cars are going to be coming in quite soon here. Gasly all the way down to P12 now. Remember, he did have that problem and had to pit after he collided with someone, and was already down the order to begin with. He was only in P9. I think Albon does pit finally and comes out still ahead of Gasly. That's how big that gap is now. Big gap from Gasly on back to Fernando Alonso up in P13. That's not a good place for him to be. It's a little bit high up the order for my liking, as I'm certainly not going to get any P13 anytime soon to try to match and beat that. And be ahead of Alpine in the standings. So Giovinazzi for Alpha is in 14th. Kubica is 15th. That's also not a good position, as 15 is not a bad place to be for Kubica. Stroll in P16, after all his problems, has slowly worked his way back up. Kvyat as well, up to P17, but he'll be pitting before too long. George Russell is P18. He was involved in one of those, but emerged from it only partially messed up, and so he didn't drop too much. But Massa, without any known problems, but riding for Alpine, down in P19. He's on a one-stopper so far. Van Dorn, by the way, everybody has stopped it at least once now. Van Dorn in 20th, and that's where we want to see that, because it's Van Dorn and Verne. We could technically finish ahead of them, except that we are way behind their place. We are 110 seconds down on Van Dorn and Verne right now. But I'm done pitting. They're going to have to pit again. That's going to get me back about 20 seconds. But that still puts me well over 100 seconds down to those two. And yeah, that's no good. That is no good. Not at all. So I'm going to go ahead and turn up the engine mode and just manage the tires accordingly. Alright, so back up to the front of the order as we're starting to see a second round of pit stops taking place now. Hamilton in the race lead will pit very soon, down to 16% on those tires. So let's go ahead and stay with Hamilton for a little while, and actually he's going to come in this lap. He's in heavy traffic, decided now's a good time to head in. Excuse me. And here we go, Hamilton into the pits, and it is a very quick stop, in and out. Onto the Ultras for the last 20 laps. That's going to be a little bit of a stretch. Just a little bit. Now he is 3.5 seconds behind the new race leader, which is Sebastian Vettel, who has still only pit the one time. He's down to 22% on the tire wear, so he will be pitting pretty soon. And he's pushing pretty hard right now, so I have a feeling that he's trying to gain some sort of advantage with Hamilton and pit here in the next lap or two. Looks like he's not coming in this lap. 19% now. He's actually backing off to try to last a little longer. A little surprising on that one. Now 17%. (16) 15. He's holding off Hamilton for now, surprisingly. Leclerc and Ricciardo have a problem. I think they collided. Long pit stops for both. Repairing problems. They both come out on the Ultras. They'll be good to go till the end of the race. And here's Vettel ready to go into the pits. He's going to give the lead back to Hamilton. Hamilton's only 3.5 seconds behind, so Hamilton will have a significant race lead here. But where will Vettel come out? Remember, there was talk about him and Bottas. Where are those two in relation? And Vettel just came out of the pits behind Bottas, but immediately had enough of an acceleration to get ahead of him. And Vettel's on the Ultras. I was right that Bottas' strategy of going to the Ultras earlier could benefit Vettel, and it's done just that. So Vettel is now 2.5 seconds ahead. As you can see, he's pushing really hard right now. But 9 seconds down on Hamilton. He will not catch Hamilton unless Hamilton ends up pitting before the end of this race. Vettel should make it on those Ultras. Hamilton, well, there was about a 4 or 5 lap difference. He might not make it. If I were him, I would definitely push to the end, though. Bottas now down to P3. Hülkenberg has moved up to P4, so really good race for the German. Max is up to 5th and is less than a second behind, so these two still battling, even though they are 75 seconds behind the race lead. Only one retirement in this race. Really sucks for me. That went way too long. I was too interested in that battle at the front. I just lost a lot of time. ...13 laps remaining. Max has been unable to get around Hulkenberg this entire time, and he just got lapped by Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton has lapped Max Verstappen. Not as bad as Verstappen lapping Gasly in Austria, but he's trying to fight back. He's trying to fight back. Hamilton having trouble getting around Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is not given in the position, and Verstappen really wants to get up to fourth. It's a good little battle we got going here. I think Hamilton, we can at least see the middle of it. Zoom out just a little bit. There's the trio. Now, this is one position battle, but this is Hamilton trying to lap fourth and fifth place cars, and they're not making it easy for him. He got around Max pretty easily, but Max has been fighting back this whole time, and then Hamilton just can't seem to get around Hulkenberg. Just like Max has been stuck behind Hulkenberg for ages. And here comes Sebastian Vettel now. Remember, Hamilton is driving conservatively. Why? Because he's trying to make the tires last. Vettel, meanwhile, is not. Vettel's been driving aggressive, and Vettel has taken the race lead. Hamilton now is trying to turn it on and get back into this race, but it's a little late for that. That's the AI for you, though, not doing anything about the fact that somebody's been coming up from 9 seconds down behind you, just closing in, closing in, closing in. And now Max just drops way off the pace. He's behind Hamilton again. And then there's a gap opening up, and Vettel just went around Hulkenberg. So that's going to push him into some open air, and Hamilton having to, again, drive conservatively. He's pushing where he can, but he just can't push for more than a few corners, and then he's got to back off because he's trying to make these tires last. So I was absolutely right about the concern over Hamilton's tires, enough so that he's given up 13 seconds to Vettel, all because of a difference of about 5 laps in when they pit. Hamilton should have come out on super softs. If he had, he would still be leading this race, and he'd still be probably 6, 7, 8 seconds ahead. But he's down to 23% and still has 4 laps to go. So he has had to drive way too conservatively. And Vettel, meanwhile, he's still got 42% tire life left, and you can see he's just pushed and pushed and pushed. Every time I look, Vettel's pushing hard as he comes up and laps Krone. Sadly, only one car out of this race, so we are still in 22nd, 23rd. And speaking of, another car well off the pace, well behind his teammate, Bottas has now passed Hamilton because Hamilton didn't make it. He pit. Hamilton has pit. So he's lost a full half minute by pushing those tires too long and ultimately pitting anyway. So terrible call by Toto Wolff to bring Hamilton out on ultra softs that weren't going to get him to the end of the race. Slow down just a little bit as we are approaching the end of this race. Deegan just making it to the end. Krone doing just fine in that department. So we have a Vettel win, now entering the final lap. He's 14 seconds ahead of Bottas, so he really opened that gap up after passing him. Remember, Vettel came out on ultras and came out with that high rate of speed. He was level with Bottas when he came out and then shot past him. He's opened up a big gap there. Hamilton lost a ton of time due to a bad decision by the pit boss. Hulkenberg is going to have an excellent P4. Verstappen has got to within 0.4 of a second again, but still unable to pass. Nope, that's it. Hulkenberg fourth. Perez is going to take P6. Solid result there. Leclerc only P7. And that started right off the line where he struggled. Sainz up to P8. Albon finishes on the one-stopper, making it work, and gets P9. Gasly gets back up to P10, but that was not a good race for the Frenchman. Ricciardo, after an excellent start, all the way down to P11. Norris 12. Alonso 13. That's a little high for my liking. Stroll, Kvyat, Kubica, Gio, Massa. Sadly, we were way down at the end. I'm sure I lost a little bit of time when I let those tires get too cooled. But otherwise, strategy was just fine. We made a one-stopper work. Gap, pretty big. 67 laps. And what did we end up finishing? Down by, yeah, there you go. Our fastest lap was 4 seconds slower. 4 seconds off the pace for the fastest lap. See, though, that Raikkonen, 123rd, that some of that came down to the end, and we did not have fresh tires at the end. But that gap, 178 seconds behind the next car on the road, Jean-Eric Vergne. We gained the one pit stop, yes, but that's 20 seconds. That's slow. That is slow. That is 3 seconds a lap. So back to 3 seconds a lap off the pace of everybody else. And that's even with picking up the pit stop in there. I don't know. I have a feeling that we are going to get relegated. So here's what I'm going to do differently heading into the next episode. Not much is changing. I mean, we're just so far off the pace. So next episode, we're going to actually start on the final handful of laps. That's where I'll start the recording. So we could actually cover 2 races in the next episode. So we'll cover those final few laps and then cover the gap in between and then quickly push through that next race as well. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer. And remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.